What if the smallest moments could change your entire life? Learn how from a former monk in this episode of the Radiate Wellness Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast with your host, metaphysician, Reiki master, and hypnotherapist, Christi Clemons Hoffman. Each week, we will discover teachings, tips, and tools to radiate your best life ever with practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate?
Hello and welcome back to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I am your host, Christi Clemons Hoffman. Today, we radiate reflection with Donald Altman, a former Buddhist monk, mindfulness teacher, psychotherapist, and the author of more than 20 books on mindfulness and emotional well-being. His newest book, Simply Mindful Reflections, 101 Daily Reflections for Joy, Hope, and Healing, offers beautiful, practical ways to slow down, reflect, and reconnect with what really matters in a chaotic world. Donald also writes for Psychology Today and has spent decades helping people cultivate greater peace, compassion, and clarity through mindfulness. Before we dive in, though, please help support the show by sharing this podcast, by liking, subscribing, or following wherever you're listening, and leaving a rating and review. It really helps more people find the show. And if you'd like to support us directly, you can donate to this podcast using the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here and for supporting the Radiate Wellness Podcast. Thank you for joining me today, Donald, to radiate reflection. What an apt topic. Glad to have you.
Thanks, Christy. It's great to be here. And you were on my Pathways program. And this is the second time I've been on your show, but we talked about real life angel encounters, and that was fascinating. I really love that.
It's a fun topic, topic, something I really enjoy. And the last time that you were on my show, on the Radiate Wellness Podcast, we talked about mindfulness because,
that's what I do pretty much. Yeah, I was lucky enough to have spent time in a monastery and learned from a wonderful teacher, a Burmese gentleman, Uthilananda, who had written a book called The Four Foundations of Mindfulness, and to be able to be taught from him and to sit with him and talk with him about it was very enriching and actually changed the direction of my life.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. I can imagine. Now, you were a monk as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I was a monk during that time. And even though I left the monastery, I continue to do the practices that I learned there and try to spread seeds of empowerment to others. In fact, I think of my new book, which is called Simply Mindful Reflections, as an empowering love letter to all those people out there who want to find some joy and hope in their lives.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And Simply Mindful Reflections is something, you've written so many books on mindfulness. This seems a little bit different. Can you tell us about this new book?
Yeah, it absolutely is different because it has some little, what I'd call them just mini breaks or nourishing ways to take a break in your day and sustain yourself with something that has you look inward. And so you can reflect inwardly. Think about how our attention is always being thrown outward nowadays, more than ever before. And I think we may be losing some of that ability to reflect. Reflection is what really helps us tap our wisdom, really understand our emotions, understand love. It's what makes us human, is this ability to look inward. And it's so beautiful. I've heard people say, I've got an AI friend. Well, that's really software. It's in a sophisticated algorithm. It's not somebody, AI can't breathe, it can't bleed, it can't scrape its knee, it can't hurt, and it can't do all the wonderful things that being human is, even with some of the things, the trials we have to go through, but we can learn from those things too, right? And so I'm hoping that we stay with reflection as a way to really hold on to what makes us most human and to understand what we can value in life too.
Now, let's start off with a basic understanding of what you mean by reflection. Can you tell us why reflection?
Well, reflection is just a way of thinking about how do I think about things and look inwardly to experience, what am I feeling right now? What am I experiencing? It's my inner life. So we have an outer life, but we have an inner life that is so important to us. How am I responding to others? I think also reflection is really important for how we can bolster our relationships, right? How we can get more meaning and really listen to others instead of just feeling defensive or getting our ego get in the way. But in fact, I have several readings I'd like to share with people. Maybe that's a good way to kind of understand what reflection is. So I have these little short reflections. You think of them as a mini break or a mini meditation. But then I have 3 follow-up questions with each one that takes you more deeply into thinking, what does this mean for me? And how can I have it take me into my life today in a new way, right?
Yeah.
So those follow-up questions are really important too. It goes beyond just a mini break, mini meditation.
Now, it just kind of makes me think of what you said about AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
But these questions at the end of each reflection, it's like internal intelligence.
Yeah, I think I call it HI2, human intelligence, meaning human insight and human intelligence. HI2. There's 2 kind of things we have. We have insight, these little flashes that come to us, that creativity, connecting us with the source, with something deeper, right? And then we have our own human intelligence, which is based on our experience in life and our growing understanding. We continue to learn and grow. We never stop. And that is one of the beautiful things that human experience can give us.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And then you've got several sections of your book that deal with different parts of life. Like, where was it? It was on Amazon. But yeah, different sections that your book goes into. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So the main sections are simplicity and peace. And so each one of these sections too connects you with that idea, with that concept. So simplicity and peace. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're experiencing chaos in your life, you might want to read one of these. And I suggest for people to just open it up anywhere, even, and just read one and let the randomness of the universe come to play in guiding you, right?
No,
So there's simplicity and peace. There's nature, which is so important. Healing and connection, love, laughter, joy, hope, and calm, transformation, and then wisdom. And those are the 8 sections in the book.
different sections. Good.
Yeah.
So you said that you have some that you can read for us.
Yeah. I picked out one from each section, actually. So first one is from the simplicity and peace section. And it's called Be Present with the Next Small Thing and the Next. Make all the in-between times count. All the little moments of doing the dishes, walking to the shower, and hugging your partner. The next simple moment is where you get real life traction. Don't get lost in the future. You'll get there anyway without even trying. Reflect on this. So after that short reading, I'll read these questions.
Mm-hmm.
What in-between moments do you often neglect, ignore, or push away? How could you be more present for the little in-between moments?
Mm-hmm.
How can you relish and remember today's ordinary moments?
Those are great questions. You know, this puts me in mind of an article I wrote years ago for a meditation magazine about micro meditations.
Yeah, that's one way to think of these, actually.
Yeah. And you know what? I used to be a corporate person and I worked at Hallmark headquarters here in Kansas City. And, you know, big Hallmark greeting cards and products and things like that.
Well, I've never met anybody from Hallmark. I wanted to talk to you. Yeah.
Well, I was part of the Great of 2015. They laid people off a lot, but it was a wonderful place to work. Oh, and for somebody who's like really sensitive and emotional, I was just like walking down the halls and looking at the posters and artwork on the halls and on the walls and just crying. So it was a beautiful place to work. I really loved it. Loved the people there. So we had this parking garage that was kind of adjacent to the big corporate headquarters. And it was seriously a mile between where I parked and where my desk was. That I had to walk twice a day. And there was no cell service in the halls between the parking garage and main building. So no checking your phone for messages or anything like that. Some of my best meditations were walk from the garage into the building. So
that's great.
You know, we can take those moments anytime. Everybody
absolutely
so close to where they go. Everybody wants to park right next to the door wherever they're going, whether it's a grocery store or a movie or whatever. we can park a little further away and enjoy that walk as a reflective time too.
Well, in the monastery, actually, we would do an hour of sitting meditation, followed by an hour of walking meditation, an hour of sitting meditation, an hour of walking meditation. And the walking meditations were amazing. I mean, I have done workshops and I've guided people in walking meditations. At one time, if I could tell you a little story here, there was a woman after the walking meditation, she had tears streaming from her eyes. And I was concerned, of course, as the workshop leader. And I said, "Are you okay? What's happening?" And she said, "I have a condition where I don't have proprioception." She said, "If I close my eyes, that's your ability to know where your body is in space." And she said, "If I close my eyes, I'll just fall over." But when I was doing the walking meditation, something happened to me and I suddenly healed from this problem. I closed my eyes and I could feel where I was. So something had rewired in her brain through this process of being very deliberate and using intentionality with what you're doing in that moment is how I teach the walking meditation. And it was amazing to me. I mean, I've seen so many amazing things from people doing these different practices, but that was a very touching thing for me to see that she had regained this ability.
Yes. We were talking about homework, and
Yeah.
after I got laid off, well, actually, shortly before the big layoffs were final, I approached the heads of the company and said, "Y'all need some meditation. We need meditation." And I started a meditation group. And then after I got laid off, I came back and led meditation Mondays over the lunch hour. And just from that, and then I started leading meditation at another big corporate headquarters in the area. This is a parts company for like forklifts and things, but I brought meditation there too. But just the transformation that people were experiencing, and they were telling their friends and they were telling their families. And you could see a change in them just from that weekly lunchtime meditation.
That's beautiful. That really is. It's interesting because when I think of Hallmark, I've read some of those cards and they're very moving.
Yes.
I was thinking, wow, those are meditations actually, right? The way some of these are written.
Yes.
But it's great that you brought that into the corporate world.
They needed it so badly. Yes, for such a touchy-feely, sentimental type of company, it was high stress, very high stress.
Oh, yeah.
Walk into the building and just feel the stress.
I think people are under more stress nowadays, maybe than ever before. There's experiencing a lot of things are moving so fast, right? And how can we kind of slow things down? And when I talk about empowerment, I mean, what can we do? What can you do yourself? Something happens to you, you respond to it, but that's your choice, how you respond. And that's the thing that we have, the ability to respond instead of just reacting to things, right? And that's what reflection helps you with. It helps you slow things down, take a little pause. And so you don't have to just react to things or take things personally, but you can take a step back. And how can I best respond to this? So you're engaging the whole part of your brain, not just that part of the brain that is triggered by some kind of stress, which is the more primitive, ancient part of the brain. It's called the amygdala. It's deep in the core of the brain. We still have that very primitive reptilian brain within us. But by doing these practices, we can, of course, we do need that part of the brain, but we can balance it out by using this kind of thinking, judging, analyzing, decision-making part of the brain, an insight part of the brain, through exercising it with reflection. So it kind of balances out and gives us all the best of everything we have.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Now, Donald, you said that when you went to the monastery, it changed your life drastically.
Yes.
What were you like before you discovered meditation and all of these practices?
Well, I think beforehand, maybe the best way to describe it would be there was a woman in the neighborhood where I lived before I went into the monastery, and she was homeless, and she was hanging out by the grocery store I used to go to, and had her shopping cart. And I lived by the beach in a nice community. And I always thought, why is she hanging out here? Can't she find somebody else, someplace else to go? And it kind of bothered me, right? But after I went into the monastery, after I left the monastery and I came back to where I was living, I saw her again, but I engaged with her. I wanted to talk with her. So what changed in me was my sense of wanting to get more curious and more compassionate toward her as a fellow human being, right? Instead of seeing her as something, she's ruining my neighborhood and but seeing her as a person who maybe had fallen on hard times. And I got her story, and she used to actually live in the same community, had an apartment there, lived there, but she had fallen on some hard times. Things happened, and so she was still in the neighborhood. And so I would buy her food, I would do little things that I could to help her. I think when you talk about how we change our inner world, we also change how we respond to the outer world. And so that was probably the biggest change for me. Also, that I would take more time doing things. I remember when I left the monastery, I wanted to go to this bookstore and get this one book on meditation and mindfulness that I had seen in the monastery. And I went there, asked the clerk, "Do you have this book?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." And she rushed off. I mean, like a super speed, like a sonic airplane, right? And I just walked very slowly. I was really moving slowly when I first got out of the monastery. And I walked through this crowded store, and I got to where she was, and she was like scanning kind of in a frantic way, just because I think she did everything very quickly. And I got up there and I found the book before she did. I said, "Oh, here's the book." And so I think it's a great example of how sometimes we move so fast that we really miss the experience. And it doesn't really help us be more productive. We think we're being more productive. Maybe we're not. Have you ever experienced that? I'm wondering, in your work or when you were at these companies, for example?
Yeah. People found that they could process information much faster, that they were more productive. Yeah, absolutely. And then I teach just why do we want to meditate in corporate environments? And that's
Yeah,
part of the slides is you're actually more productive.
yeah, that's kind of neat. Hey, can I read another one?
I would love it. Please do.
So this is from the next section. This is from Nature.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Nature plays a song that only the silent can hear. Don't let your busyness get in the way. If you really want to tune into nature's song, you must first grow quiet. Don't just look at a tree. Peer deeply into its leafy green intelligence. Feel its brown barky pulse. Sense the earth's entire wisdom spreading up through sinewy roots. Reflect on this. And then my three questions are: when did you last recognize nature's elegant design? What rhythms, objects, and sensations connect you to the natural world?
Mm.
And then start a daily practice of sitting with nature in silence. And of course, that could be just for 30 seconds, a minute. How does this help you tune into nature's song?
Mm. Mm. You know, nature fixes everything, I think.
It is very healing, isn't it? Yeah. I can think of times when I was troubled by things and I would go to the ocean after my mother had passed away. I lost my cat on the same day, who was such a sweet, his name was Rumi. And I went to the ocean just to feel nature, and it was healing for me.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't imagine losing two very dear souls.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, perhaps they went to keep each other company.
You know, I like that idea. They would be good friends. Yeah.
Good friends. And I had a client yesterday. We talked about the healing power of nature because that came up in her session. And she's the one who said, yeah, nature fixes everything. And I was like, yeah, it does. It really does. And it is easy to reflect in nature as well.
I think, yeah, nature makes it a little easier even to reflect. What happens is we are feeling separated from nature. I think that's one of the problems. A lot of people are maybe not identifying that, but they're feeling disconnected from nature. And we're meant to be part of nature. There's no question about it. And so I think that's why we feel people love to camp or they hike or whatever. I think if you can just get out in nature or even just look out your window at the trees, that would be healing, just to take that pause.
Wonderful. Yeah. So these reflections, what is the title? Is simply mindful reflections. 101 of them. How did you come up with them? That's a lot of.
It's almost like they were channeled through me, Christi. I mean, honestly, sometimes I think, where did I think of this? It was just, it really is, in a way, I really like to think of it as a love letter to people who are in need or suffering. And I mean, these have helped me. I remember one time, shortly after the book just came out a little while ago, but sometimes I'll just open it up and it'll give me an answer to something I was thinking about. And I'm always amazed by that. It's just this synchronicity, right?
Yeah. And that is something that I like to do with certain books as well, is just open up the book and see what you land on.
Yeah. What's speaking to me here?
speaking to you, right? That's wonderful. How many books on mindfulness now?
I think around 20 or so.
Wow. One would think that there's only so many words you could devote to the topic of mindfulness, but you find new ways to deliver this.
Well, it's almost like a diamond has so many facets to it. And there's so many facets to mindfulness. You could look at it from so many different angles and how it could apply to different aspects of our life and our work life and our relationships and so on, that I'm finding that's what's so amazing about it is it really is informative in so many different ways. And mindfulness, in more traditionally, as it was taught by the monks, and it's confrontive. You face whatever is happening. You don't turn away. It's like whatever comes into your life, you're not trying to avoid it or escape it. You face it directly. And you see it for what is, not what if. You don't go into the what if, so this might have that. It's like you directly face it and what's happening right now. And when you deal with things more directly in that way, and the what is as opposed to the what if, you're more able to deal with things, right? And you're not going off spinning into anxiety or worry, concern about what might happen in the future about this. You're dealing with what's present. And so I think reflection is also a present moment practice, right? And that's where I think meditation, as you found, is so helpful for people. It lets them deal with the problems that are facing them right now.
So many people confuse or confound meditation and mindfulness.
Yeah.
How do you define them?
Well, there is mindful meditation,
Right.
but meditation is more when you focus or concentrate on an object. So I concentrate on the breath. That's traditionally a meditation. I can count numbers. That's a meditation. I can focus on an image or a candle. That's a meditation. I'm focusing on one object, keeping my attention on one thing. But mindfulness, in contrast, is what's happening moment by moment that is coming through your consciousness, through your body, the sense doors, right? It's the moment awareness that you have as things are occurring and being present with that. And so that's a different kind of meditation, but it's bringing your attention to what is happening right now, right now, right now. So it's very different. And you can combine both. I actually bring meditation and mindfulness together. So if you're doing a breathing practice, for example, I'll have somebody, you can focus on your breath. You can count, you could say in when you're breathing in, out when you're breathing out. And at the same time, notice what are the thoughts coming by, right? Because they're always going to be coming. The mind's always generating some kind of thought. So you can always be aware of that. You can be aware of what's happening in the body. So you can do both at the same time. And it has the effect of being both calming, and when you focus on one thing, that tends to be a more calming meditation. It's sometimes called a samatha meditation. Or you can have vipassana, which is insight, awareness of what's happening moment by moment. And that's more the traditional mindfulness. But you can combine the two, which I find to be really helpful.
I do too. It's kind of like a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Right. I was called mindfulness meditation's cool younger sister. So yeah, because they're not the same and they're not interchangeable, but there's just something you can practice mindfulness anytime, but you can't always practice meditation anytime.
Right. Yeah. That's a nice way of saying it, actually.
Right. And of course, your book on reflections, simple mindful reflections. This is something that we can reflect on anything, but mindfully.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it changes, not only does it change your brain in a positive way, it does. It rewires your brain. And there's been research to show this kind of thing because it changes how you react to things. So if you're mindful, for example, there was an interesting research study that was done, and they would show people disturbing images. Now, the people who had studied mindfulness, they would look at those images and they would say, oh, wait, that's bringing up a feeling of anger in me, or I'm feeling fear or whatever, or sadness or whatever that image brought. They were very evocative images, right? But the people who didn't know mindfulness, they actually felt the emotion. They were in the grip of the emotion, but the people who were able to name it, they were able to kind of have a little space from it. That's what I think about mindfulness, really. It changes your relationship to what's happening in your life. So, somebody might pull in front of you in a car and cause an accident, and you might get reactive and, oh my God, what's that person? They don't know how to drive, get angry or whatever. but a mindful person might have a completely different reaction to that, right? They might say, oh, that person is having a hard day. Why they're in a hurry? I hope they're safe. I'm glad that I was able to not have an accident, right? So a completely different reaction. So it changes your relationship. Even if you're experiencing depression or anxiety, it changes your relationship to the depression and the anxiety because you can notice it, but you don't have to be in the grips of it. I once had a client, I worked as a psychotherapist for many years, and I remember I had a client I worked with, and she was very, very emotional about things that would happen, and then she would drink as a way to calm herself down or soothe herself. And it was a very unhealthy pattern that she was involved in. And I talked with her about these things can happen, but you can kind of step back and observe and notice what your feelings are and give a name to your feelings. Yeah, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. And when she learned how to do that, she discovered, wait, I don't need to drink. I don't need that alcohol to help cover up my feelings. So she changed her relationship to what was happening. It didn't change the event, but she changed in a more positive way how she dealt with it.
I love that story. That is very, very indicative of what mindfulness can do for us.
Yeah. And I remember she even said to me, she said, I couldn't believe that I did. The first time that she changed her behavior, she said, I didn't think it was possible.
Oh, that's wild. There were two ladies at this global headquarters for truck and forklift parts. It was crazy. It's called, I won't say the name of the company. So I'd been going in there for maybe 6 weeks. And there were two women, friends. They were both office workers. They weren't in the warehouse or anything, but they both just were older women and they just looked harsh, just harsh. They did not look like happy people. And they started coming to meditation. And after 4 or 6 weeks, I said, you two look different. You just look different because they looked 15 years younger and they looked softer. They looked approachable. They looked happy. They looked relaxed. And they said both that they decided that they were going to come to meditation class because they were tired of feeling the way that they did. Were tired of being unapproachable. They were tired of being bitter. And this once a week practice, they probably practice on their lunch break. And in fact, I think they did. They would grab each other and, hey, let's go grab a conference room.
Yeah.
But after pretty short order, they had made a similar change. And so, this is the power of just being aware of what you're thinking.
Yeah. That's a really inspiring story right there.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah. And you can tell people who are more prone to mindfulness and more prone to meditation, just calmer, more centered, and just more approachable. Are we all perfect? No, far from it. But we can all improve where we are in life.
Yeah, that reminds me of what I heard a Zen monk who said, I'm perfect just as I am, and I could use a little improvement.
Hey.
That's kind of what you just said there, right?
Yes, perfect. Just again, when I could use a little improvement.
Yeah.
Oh, I might make that into a meme. That is great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I just want to say, just take a moment, how much I enjoy speaking with you. You have such a wonderful presence and uplifting kindness about you, and it's really just a joy.
Bless your heart. Well, you see, we're educators. That's why.
Could be.
Well, bless your heart. I enjoy talking to you too, Donald.
Thanks.
Such a great guest to have on. So how about another reflection?
Oh, okay. This is healing and connection.
Perfect.
Yeah. Each day presents an opportunity for healing connections. Today, make a commitment to dialogue with a heart of empathy and openness. Get curious and let go of assumptions. Seek to mutually explore truth with others. When winning no longer matters, you conquer seeds of mistrust. As the Buddha once said, the winner sows hatred because the loser suffers. Let go of winning and losing and find joy. This is how you build bridges of peace and mutual connection. Reflect on this.
We need that more than ever.
Nowadays, that's why I wanted to share this one too, is because there's a lot of divisiveness, and I think we need to build bridges with others and understand and just be open to friends and neighbors, and right? How could you drop your assumptions while talking with another today?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. How does letting go of an agenda change the feeling of a relationship?
Mm.
And how does it feel to talk directly, honestly, and respectfully with one person today without needing to win, be right, or prove a point?
Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
think that last question wins the day. Just talking to one person.
Just one person, respectfully, honestly, directly, without needing to win or prove a point. Yeah.
That's beautiful. A friend of mine says that he notices when people are listening in order to formulate what they're going to say next.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah. I think that I can see that now. I can see it on myself sometimes. I do the same, and I think I'm going to call myself out on that. I've done it. Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of the same idea, the same thought that just
Sure.
listen without that judgment, without trying to win. So many people listen so not only they can respond, but thinking of what they're saying next, but trying to one up.
Yeah. The one-uppers. Yeah.
Trying to outdo. Yeah. Which is winning in a way, or trying to.
Oh, yeah. It is. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that is beautiful. Oh my gosh. I think that wins the day.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's very different when you're just listening to listen, right? And to understand and be curious about somebody. There's a completely different mindset. It's like you're not blocked in any way. There's an openness.
Something you said earlier at the beginning of this interview, Donald, was about curiosity, and that it's going to help us be more curious. I think curiosity is a vastly underrated quality. We all need to be more curious. I think it is one of the best qualities that we can have.
I think it's wonderful. If I could share another little story with you about curiosity and just bringing us back really to that childhood curiosity we had when we'd go out and look at nature, just amazed at it. And then like the first time you saw a rose, before now you see it and oh, it's a rose, but you don't see it as if for the first time. So I had a group one time and I had them go outside and I said, I want you to become children again or childlike and just experience nature for 20 minutes as if you've never seen it before. And so they all went outside. It was a beautiful green setting. And I noticed that one woman was on all fours, moving, just creeping very slowly along the ground. Now, I was really curious, but she didn't for 20 minutes. That's what she did. And anyway, I brought everybody back in. I said, does anybody like to share your experiences? And her hand shot up. And so I wanted to know. So I said, okay, I was wondering about what you were doing. She said, I saw a worm. I went down to the ground and I saw a worm moving through the grass and it was wiggling this way and then it would wiggle this way. It says, I was just mesmerized by it. Where's it going to go next? What's it going to do? And she spent 20 minutes just with this childlike curiosity of looking at a worm and connecting with the grass. I thought that was amazing. So you never know what you're going to see, right?
She followed the instructions to the letter.
To the letter. There was somebody I knew. He was actually a drug and alcohol counselor, and he was very forthcoming about when he was an addict previously. And he said when he finally got sober, he was walking outside. I think this was in New York City. And he said, I smelled something. I was like, what is that? It's amazing. And he followed the smell. He went around the corner. It was a rose. That's why I brought up the rose earlier. And he said, I had forgotten what it was like to really smell a rose. He said, when I was in my addiction, all I could think about was I want that next hit or whatever it was. And he stopped being present. And so it was so beautiful that he started to recognize and started to wake up to the world around him. And so how often do we get in, I'm not saying you don't have to be an addict. You could just be caught in your thoughts, but you're missing out on everything that's happening around you.
Right. Just being a fully present person. There's so much stress can do that to us, to get us out of our noticing capability. I don't know what else to call it, but have to be an addiction, but it can be stress and it can be, chatter. It can be.
Yeah, right. Pop-up windows.
Pop-up windows. Yes. Constantly checking your electronics. Oh my gosh. Donald, this is a beautiful, beautiful conversation. I'm having such a lovely time. Is there anything we have not covered with your book, Simply Mindful Reflections, 101 Daily Reflections for Joy, Hope, and Healing? Anything that we have not covered that you think is important to?
Well, I want to share one more.
Please.
If I could. Yeah.
Please.
And this is from the transformation section. And I guess, you asked me, why did I write some, how did I come up with it? Well, this one I had written, I think this came from some personal experience. So, but anyway, here goes. Each door closed in your face guides you toward beauty. Why open the same slamming door and expect a different result? Slamming doors close for a reason. Each is meant to guide you in a new direction. Keep opening doors until you behold beauty. When you step over the threshold of a door meant especially for you, you become a sculptor and artist of pure joy. Reflect on this.
An artist of pure joy.
Which doors do you enter time and again, even if they do you harm? What doors open willingly for you? Today, what new door can you open in order to explore and learn more about yourself and others?
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I love this, artist of pure joy. I kind of got hung up on there. I just kind of got stuck on that, just reflecting on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think I had the experience of being in a career where doors were slamming in my face, and I kept trying. And then, it's so interesting. When I changed careers and I went into the healing field, doors started to open for me. And I recognized it at that point. I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I left what I was trying to do, because I was meant to do this. The doors are opening for me here. And I became aware of the importance of noticing that the slamming doors are helping you to move in a new direction. It's not a rejection. You don't need to take it personally. Maybe there's something else for you that you haven't envisioned yet, right? So pay attention to the doors that are opening, especially.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Right? 100%. Sometimes we need to be grateful that the door slammed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a silver lining in that door slamming.
When I got laid off from Hallmark with 1,500 other people in the creative department, that could have been a door slamming, but I saw it as a door opening, because then I started Radiate Wellness.
Yeah, that's a beautiful example. Yeah.
And this, just an artist of joy. That sounds just so wonderful. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
And so where can we find this book, Simply Mindful Reflections?
Yeah. Well, you can go to Amazon, and if you typed in Simply Mindful Reflections and my name, Altman, it'll pop up. It's available as a Kindle or as a paperback book that you see here.
Lovely.
Or really, you can get it from any online bookseller that you're interested in, or I think you could also have a bookstore order it for you if you wanted to.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites is bookshop.org, because then you can buy a local bookstore to get the proceeds.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Nice. I like that. Wonderful. And your website is Practices.
Yeah, Mindful, MINDFUL, 1L, practices.com. And you can see some of the other work I do. And I have a newsletter you can sign up for, actually, if you go to that website. And that will also connect you. That newsletter, I write a blog for Psychology Today. And that has a lot of interesting ideas in there as well on mindfulness. It's called the Practical Mindfulness blog on Psychology Today.
I love that it's on Psychology Today.
Yeah.
Because more therapists need to be talking about mindfulness.
Yeah. I've been on there for a few years now. It's great.
Oh my gosh. I mean, doctors need to be talking about mindfulness and meditation.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, my guest today has been Donald Altman, who is the author of the new book, Simply Mindful Reflections, 101 Daily Reflections for Joy, Hope, and Healing, Essential Tools for Living in a Chaotic World. My gosh, and we're chaotic right now. Always enjoy talking with you. So
same here,
Christi.
Christi.
Have you back anytime.
That'd be great. And likewise, I'd love to pre-invite you to Pathways again.
I would love to be on again, because we have so much to talk about. So thank you. And I'm just going to say, until next time.
Okay. Well, I love it. Well, bless you and bless your audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Don't know what to watch next? Decisions. Well, we've got some suggestions. You can click this little video here and watch that. It's something that we think you're going to like. If you like the last one, you're going to like that one too. You can also click on the subscribe button. And if you do that, then you'll get notifications whenever we have a new video up. Win-win, right?